The thing is, a lot of what made Busquets great are the subtle things you rarely see in a highlights package.
Sergio Busquets ante Vas. Hoy también de la Liga Santander. Marca Leo Messi para el fútbol, para tapar el avance de Modric.
The best. He read absolutely everything what happened, and he anticipate, he read the situations quickly, he applied perfectly.
Some players make you cheer, others make you think, and then there's the players who make everything just work. Players you only notice when they're gone. That was Sergio Busquets. He didn't score goals, he didn't run fast, he didn't dance past defenders, but he just saw everything before anyone else did. He was the heartbeat of Barcelona's golden era, the calm in the chaos, the glue between the geniuses, and for 15 years he played football's simplest role in the most complex way imaginable. And when he left the stage, football itself felt quieter. Sergio Busquets was born in Catalonia back in 1988. The football was in his blood. His father, Carlos, was a goalkeeper for Barcelona back in the 1990s. But while his father used gloves, Sergio used his mind. As a teenager, he wasn't the biggest or even the fastest in the squad. In fact, he was quite awkward. He was tall, he was lanky, and he was unathletic to some. But there was something about him that coaches just couldn't ignore, and that was his understanding, his elite understanding of space. He'd intercept passes before they were even made. He'd move 3 yards and suddenly the entire midfield would shift. He wasn't physically dominant, but he was mentally dominant. And that is kind of the characteristics that would define him for the rest of his career. By 2005, he joined Barcelona's youth setup, just another name in La Masia's endless production line. But one man saw something different, and that man was Pep Guardiola. When Pep Guardiola took over the Barca B, he made Busquets the anchor of his midfield. Not because he was flashy, but because he made everyone else better. And Pep noticed that. By 2008, Guardiola had become Barcelona's first team manager, and when asked which academy player he wanted to promote first, he didn't say Pedro, he didn't say Thiago, he said Sergio Busquets. It was a decision that would change football forever. In Guardiola's system, everyone knew their job. Messi was the one who created and scored goals, Xavi was the one who dictated, Iniesta was the one who danced, and then you have Busquets. He was the balance. And no one quite knew what Guardiola was onto, but this would become so pivotal in all of Barcelona's success. You see, he didn't just protect the defense, he organized the entire game from behind the curtain. Every triangle, it started with him. Every press began with his positioning. Every rhythm came from his touch. He turned defending into geometry. He wasn't tackling, he was anticipating. He wasn't sprinting, he was reading. He didn't chase the ball, he just found a way to make the ball come to him. In his first season, the 2008-09 season, he won the treble. He won La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and the Champions League. A 20-year-old who had gone from the academy to a world champion in just 1 year. But even then, he stayed invisible. That's what made him brilliant. He didn't want the spotlight, he wanted the game. Xavi once said, if you watch the game, you don't see Busquets. But if you watch Busquets, you see the whole game. And that is the truth. He was football's invisible genius. Every match looked easier because he was there. He was quietly adjusting, quietly solving, and while others played in chaos, he was just always calm. By 2010, he was already the foundation of two dynasties, Barcelona and Spain. Under Vicente del Bosque, Spain dominated world football, winning Euro 2008, the World Cup in 2010, and the Euros in 2012. Their style was tiki-taka. It wasn't just passing for passing's sake. It was controlling the entire field through passes, through open spaces, and it was chess being played with a ball. And at the center of it all, well, connecting everything from Xavi to Iniesta to Alonso, that was Sergio Busquets. While Torres and Villa and Ramos became the headlines for the squad, Busquets became history's quiet constant. At 22, he was a World Cup winner. At 23, he was a European champion. And for the next decade, he'd be the best defensive midfielder in the world. Arguably, to many, the greatest defensive midfielder that the game has ever seen. He wasn't athletic in the traditional sense, but he was perfect for the system.
And he hasn't been the athletic type. He hasn't been the runner. It's always been about how smart and intelligent his movement has been and how good and clean he is with getting the ball and moving the ball.
He pressed, he covered, and he recycled the ball like a machine. But at the same time, he thought like a poet. In the 2011 Champions League final at Wembley, Barcelona beat Manchester United 3-1. Busquets in the game was flawless. His passing accuracy was 93%, his interceptions was countless, and his mistakes, well, he made none. While Messi and Iniesta dazzled, Busquets was the one that built the platform. Without him, the dance just wouldn't have existed.
Quickly talk about Iniesta, but Busquets gave a platform for Iniesta and Xavi.
He was the stage under the spotlight. What made him special wasn't technique alone, it was his pure intelligence. He played with his brain, not his boots. He scanned constantly, turning his head left and right like a radar. He could receive the ball under pressure with two men closing in and still find a solution in just one touch. It wasn't luck, it was information. He already knew what was behind him, beside him, and in front of him. That's why he looked slow, because he never needed to rush. He made the game easier for himself.
Was eulogising about the importance of Sergio Busquets to this Barcelona side. I mean, we've marvelled at his football for many years. He makes difficult things look very easy.
Oh, he is Mr. Simplicity, and that's a hard thing to achieve.
Football today calls it positional play, but like every quiet genius, Busquets was kind of understood. To fans, he looked slow. To coaches, he was priceless. And there was even some fans at the time that was wondering, why did Barcelona not sign a better defensive midfielder? This guy is too slow. This guy is doing nothing on the pitch, because no one could see what he was actually doing. He was being booed by rivals. He was being mocked for diving. He was being criticized for a lack of flair, considering that he was playing next to Xavi and Iniesta, with Messi on the one wing and so many other dazzling players. But for those who know the game, for those who knew what he was actually doing, which was the players, the tacticians, the thinkers, the coaches, they all saw him as one of one. He was a generational player. Pep once said, "If I could be any player, I would be Busquets." Now, that's kind of all you need to know. The best coach in the world saying that about a player? Wow. From 2008 till 2016, Barcelona built their empire around him. Xavi and Iniesta may have left the footprints, but Busquets was the ground beneath them. He played with every generation. He was with Messi and Dani Alves, he was with Neymar and Luis Suarez, he even played with Pedri and Gavi.
From a different era, from a different time, but a dominant era and a dominant time for Barcelona. He is, I think, and has been for the last 15 years or so, the best defensive midfielder, if you want to call him that, the best defensive midfielder, central midfielder in the world.
He was always the constant. When coaches came and went, Pep Guardiola, the late great Tito Villanova, Luis Enrique, Ernesto Valverde, Quique Setien, Xavi, Ronald Koeman, all the coaches. The system may have changed so many times, but Busquets, he still stayed. He was the compass. In 700 plus appearances for Barcelona, he became their third most capped player of all time, winning everything. 9 La Ligas, 7 Copa del Reys, 3 Champions Leagues, and countless Super Cups. And yet, he never once looked like he needed the credit, because his job was never to get any glory.
It's an extraordinary... He's won everything. Absolutely everything there is to win in the game. It's extraordinary.
His job was just balance. By the late 2010s, Barcelona began to crumble. The golden generation had aged, the philosophy had fractured, the tiki-taka dream was now fading, but Busquets kept playing the same way, even as the team around him began to change. He wasn't quick enough to mask their flaws anymore, he wasn't protected by Xavi and Iniesta anymore, and suddenly, the man once who once made everything work, became the one that was being blamed when it didn't. He looked like the fault when Barcelona conceded because he was never quick enough, because he didn't cover enough ground. Still, he never complained, he never spoke out, he never changed who he was, and that is what made him so, and still makes him so special. Even in defeat, he remained true to the idea that football should be played with the brain first and then the feet second. By 2021, he was one of the last survivors of Spain's golden generation. He captained Barcelona, led a new generation of youngsters, and taught them the same rhythm that he once learned at La Masia. Players like Pedri, Gavi, and Frankie de Jong all called him a mentor, a professor, a guardian in the squad. And when asked about Busquets, Pedri said he makes football feel like a game of chess. Every move just makes sense. And that kind of explains why many are looking at Pedri right now as one of, if not the best midfielders in the world. That's who Busquets just was. He wasn't a warrior, but he was a thinker, and he inspired others around him.
I'm happy because that's what I wanted. The club has done their part as well, so I feel valued. I feel as though I'm at the best club in the world, and let's hope it continues.
Then came 2023, and it was the end of an era. Busquets announced that he would be leaving Barcelona after 15 seasons. There was no drama, no tears, just a whole lot of gratitude from the fans, the coaches, the club as a whole. And fittingly, his final match came at the Camp Nou. It was the same pitch where he built an empire of silence. As the fans chanted his name, he smiled, he waved, and he just walked off. Not as a star, but as a legend. Wu had already said everything without saying it at all. But Busquets, he wasn't done, because his story still had one more chapter, and it would take place across the Atlantic. When Lionel Messi joined Inter Miami in 2023, he made one request. I want you to bring in Sergio Busquets. And just like that, the band was now back together. Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba, and Luis Suarez. Old friends, old rhythm, and now playing on a new continent. MLS fans didn't know what to expect. Busquets was 35 at the time. He was slower, he was older, but within just a few minutes of his debut, you could see it. You could immediately see the aura that he just brought. While others sprinted, he stood still. He controlled the entire match with his passing and his understanding of the game. The league had never seen anything like it before. And remember, this is a league that once had David Beckham in it, but they had never seen anything like Busquets before.
The year went on. Busquets, beautiful ball ahead. Here's Messi bearing down on Coronel. Lionel Messi, legs of the 8-time Ballon d'Or winner to extend the Inter Miami lead.
He didn't have to adapt to the MLS. MLS players had to adapt to him. His presence turned Inter Miami from an average team into a side that suddenly believed in patterns, in rhythms, and in control. He wasn't chasing players anymore, he was teaching them. And when Inter Miami won the league's cup, then Messi lifted the trophy, but Busquets had quietly led them there, just like he always did. Watching him play in Miami was like watching an old painter return to his art. He was slower, yes, but he was definitely wiser at the same time. Every pass was a memory, every touch was kind of like a goodbye. He wasn't chasing trophies anymore. He was closing a circle. From La Masia to Inter Miami, from a boy learning under Guardiola to a man guiding Messi one last time. He didn't need Europe's lights anymore. He had peace. And as of recently, Sergio Busquets announced his retirement from professional football. And guys, all we can do is just take a look at his career and just smile. This was a man that inspired a generation of defensive midfielders to not simply just be the player who breaks up the play and hoof it up. He inspired them to become the player who could control the midfield.
De una manera totalmente diferente.
Y sobre todo por todos los años compartidos.
The person that you are, the player that you are, and the leadership and professionalism that you show is really incredible.
Los mejores centrocampistas de la historia.
He said it himself. I never needed to be seen. I just needed to make the football work. That's his legacy. Because Busquets didn't change games with power or fame, he changed how the game was understood. He taught the world that football doesn't need chaos to be beautiful, that you don't have to score to dominate. That is true greatness, and that is just the quiet guy that Busquets was. When you take a look back at football's greatest teams, you have Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, you have Vicente del Bosque's Spain, you have Inter Miami with Messi and Beckham at the helm. You always find one consistent. That is a number 5. He is tall, he is calm, he is unassuming, he is directing traffic while others are looking for glory. That guy is Sergio Busquets, the man who made football look so easy, because he did the hardest thing of all. He simplified the game. He wasn't the engine, but he was the oil. You never saw him, but without him, nothing actually moved. He was the pause before perfection, the calm before the creation, the heartbeat behind the beauty. So I need to ask you guys, what is your favorite Busquets moment? What do you think of this true legend of the game? Do you think that he was overrated? Do you think he was underrated? Do you think that he inspired a generation? And also, guys, what do you think of his career? Guys, let me know in the comments down below, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on those bell notifications, guys. And I'm Ty, and I will catch you on the next one.